We have a wonderful Friday morning for you. We have a recount in progress. It is now being laid to the groundwork for a recount. Not only that, I believe I said the FBI and the U.S. Marshals could go get those Democrats, and guess what is happening, folks? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They're coming for those Democrats that have run from Texas to Illinois? Yeah, up to Illinois. So we're going to go over that. Not only that, we're going to focus a little bit more on redistricting and why the Democrats do it so evilly as compared to somewhere like Florida, where they literally do it in little blocks. So again, the Democrats are again going nuts over something they literally do. That's what Democrats do. Commies love to project. Whatever they're doing internally evilly, they project onto others. There is a lot of precedence for this. I mean, that's pretty much all they do. I mean, think about Hillary Clinton and the Russia hoax pretty much for the last, 4 years during the first Trump administration, 3 years. That's all they preached, and essentially they were the ones that were collaborating with Russia. Projection. That's what commies do. All right, guys, this is huge. Census update. Census update. I don't think you understand how big this is. Let's rewind the clock back to the most evil president of probably all next to FDR. Obama, yes. He removed a critical question from the census. He didn't have authority to do that. He just did it. He literally just ripped the question out and says, are you a citizen? Trump, when he came into office, he's like, okay, well, Obama removed it. So I'm going to put it back in. The Supreme Court, evil Supreme Court, whatever stuff was up there. This was, when Trump did it, it was just before the census that was getting ready to happen in 2020. He did it in 2019. 2020 is coming up, doing the census. He put the question back in. The Supreme Court ruled that he couldn't do it because they felt like it was being politicized, the census. How disgusting of them. I hope that the justices that were on there that pretend to be Republican on the Supreme Court, if they could rewind the clock, they would realize that no, the Democrats are the ones that are politicizing everything. From the FBI to the IRS to the EPA, every single bureaucratic agency that should not exist are essentially politicized and weaponized against Republicans. I hope they see that now and they would revert that. Because the question is going in this time, and there are going to be some huge impacts. Trump has laid the groundwork for a new census. This came out yesterday. He's basically calling it out. There's going to be a new census coming out. And a lot of people are pushing him to go ahead and do the census now. Because 2020 census pretty much allowed a lot of illegals to put their tally in and say, yeah, we're American. No, you're not. Get out. Why does this matter? I'm glad you asked. So there's these things called the Electoral College. And this Electoral College not only determines who the president's going to be, but also how many representatives you're going to have from Congress. Remember, Congress has two pieces, the House and the Senate. Everybody gets 2 senators. Everybody gets an aggregation of House representatives based upon population. So if you count non-citizens as part of your population, you now get a boost for how many electoral points you get, how many electoral votes you get for choosing the president, and also, conversely, how many representatives you get in the House. How many? Glad you asked. According to the current estimates, this is how many would be pulled away. And I am talking about proportionality here. So, for example, illegals all over the country, if you yank them all out today, what would be the impact for these states? Okay? Because, proportionality, however many gets there, if you yanked all of California out and you didn't impact proportionality, California would actually lose close to double of this. Yeah. So they would be losing about 8 seats, while in reality, given proportionality of illegals, they would more likely lose about 4. The savings to the taxpayer, at least $40 billion. Not only do they get electoral votes, and they get the amount of representatives they also get apportionment for certain programs, like Social Security, like FEMA, like transportation, any sort of things where you're appropriating based upon population. They get those federal funds. So that would save $40 billion to the taxpayer at minimum. At minimum. The total estimate is closer to, as far as appropriations, is $1.5 trillion that goes through this process. Now, that's everybody, though. So if you start taking out illegals and you're looking at on the low end, these are all conservative estimates. California would lose 4 representatives and $40 billion. New Jersey, 1 rep, $7.3 billion. Illinois, 1 rep, $4 billion. And New York, 1 rep and $11 billion. Now, these are my own relative calculations, so take them with a grain of salt, but I did do something that most people generally don't do and actually look at the proportion of illegals across the U.S. So that is something that most of these calculations are not taken into account. Crazy. I want to address this again. Question came up yesterday. Well, they're saying that California and New York could still technically adjust that. No, they cannot. They cannot adjust their gerrymandering any more than they already have. Case in point, going to pull this up from yesterday. California has a ratio of 4-1. That is insane. Again, the distribution of population is about 50-50. So you should see representation from each state about 50-50. Anything beyond that, and it is ridiculously misrepresented. If you look at most red states, they're closer to 2-1. That's kind of where it should be to some respect if you're thinking Florida's heavily red. However, Republicans do redistricting too. That's what I'm trying to get at. Both parties do gerrymandering. It's just one party screams my racism when the other party does, and the other party's like, okay, fine, you won, you get to go do it. The point I'm making is if you look at Republicans that are doing it, they do it to a margin of 2-1. They have more ability to go further, like California, Illinois, New York have gone. Illinois, oh my goodness, it's 5-1. So red states, I'm looking at you. You have a lot more work to go to redistrict and do things unfairly like the Democrats have done. Again, projection. That's what Democrats do. They project what they're doing onto everybody else. They are way worse. Again, California, 4-1. Illinois, 5-1. Compared to Texas and Florida, about 2-1. So there. No, they cannot do it worse than they already have. Sorry, red states have more wiggle room here. Case in point, reminder, this is how Illinois, look at it. I mean, really, do we need to look? Really? Getting over to Louisiana. Louisiana also is doing redistricting, which is absolutely insane what they've done. This pretty much explains it right here. Louisiana adds second majority black district in new congressional map. And this is how they did it. Do you think choosing districts along racial lines makes any sense? Do you think somebody in Shreveport has the same sort of predilections as somebody in Baton Rouge or New Orleans? That's a huge swath of distance between those, and they probably think a little differently. But again, the Democrats are racist people that tend to look at people like monolith. They see a black person, and they don't think, I wonder what that black person thinks. They think, oh, he must be a Democrat. I mean, stereotypes do play a point here, but regardless, at least when you look at somebody, you want to ask them the question, do you believe in abortion at birth? Do you believe in defending yourself? Oh, okay, so you don't believe in killing a child while it's out of the womb or coming out of the womb, and you do believe you have the right to defend yourself. You must be a Republican. Welcome aboard. We don't care about skin color over here. You blue hairs do. It's just sad. Just really sad. Again, projection. They're the racists, and they project out their own internal insecurities to everybody else. The reason why I bring this up is because the Supreme Court is right now reviewing this case. And if this goes forward, this is going to be huge because this is illegal. Louisiana has literally said, if you're black, we want to make a map specifically for you. That's illegal. You cannot just discriminate based upon skin color and say, well, we're going to do special carve-outs for yellow people, brown people, green people. That's illegal. Instead, we should be looking at what these people represent in this area and say, okay, here's your representative, regardless of skin color. These unhinged people trying to do carve-outs based upon race. Carve-outs based on race, they are racists. And again, called it. There is some issue I have with the FBI going for this. Kash Patel got the call from the Attorney General. Attorney General sent a note, Attorney General of Texas sent a note to Kash Patel saying, "Can you help us out?" Kash Patel sent a note back. Attorney General has released some quotes from that, basically saying that Kash Patel is on the job and he would be doing all he can to arrest them and send them back, the representative that have fled Texas, back to Texas to be prosecuted. And yes, they are calling for prosecution of these representatives. However, I would recommend using the U.S. Marshals. Reason being is because these people are technically fugitives now. I just feel more comfortable using U.S. Marshals. I think the two modus operandi for the two organizations are a little bit separate. Let the U.S. Marshals go get them, grab the fugitive and bring it home, and go that route. Other people saying no, FBI will get it done very effectively and efficiently, but I think the U.S. Marshals would have more fun. Just me. And fingers crossed. Came out yesterday. There's talks that are supposed to be happening. There's already been talks going on, and apparently Russia has now signaled that they are willing to sit down and have a conversation to potentially end the war in Ukraine. This is fantastic. I've been watching this closely. There's been ongoing bloodshed. It's back and forth every so often. Every week or so, there'll be another missile strike, more people dying. We're sending more munitions to Ukraine indirectly, which is kind of disgusting. We're basically giving them to NATO. NATO gives it to them because Trump made the promise he's not going to give it directly to Ukraine. It's ugly. I hope the war stops. Hopefully this is going to be coming up very soon. So Trump said just the other day that there's a very good chance of a summit to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Hoping that's the case. And Steve Witkoff has signaled that, again, Russia believes that they're coming to the table. Zelensky's been relegated to a corner because, again, he doesn't matter. Hopefully this will be the end of this war. And Barr needs to go behind bars. I want to mention this again. Veritas is giving little drops and little leaks about this. Bill Barr is evil. After 2020 and Biden came in, he worked directly with Fulton County DA Fani Willis, and Loretta Lynch was also in those conversations, specifically looking to target Trump. And he was the one that stitched together the RICO case. Secret meetings to plot prosecutions of Trump and block his political comeback. That was the goal of this. This is election interference. This is illegal. Bill Barr needs to be prosecuted. Not only that, the whistleblower also came out regarding a visa fraud scheme that Bill Barr was a part of, where he helped get visas approved for the supposed commercial enterprises and the supposed CEOs, COOs of these different commercial enterprises are supposed to come over to the U.S. Those people that may or may not have existed received grants, and where the money went for those grants, because the businesses never sprung up. This whistleblower audited a lot of these businesses. Every single one she audited did not exist. Where did the money go, Barr? Where did the money go? I'm sure Trump has seen this by now, and I hope Pam Bondi is looking at this. I hope Kash Patel is looking at this, and we are going to see Fani Willis and Bill Barr behind bars before the end of this. Love to see it. Well, guys, that's all I've got for you today. Mouthy signing out.